What's happening, my good people? It is your boy PKG Deluxe back with another video on how I did. You already know what it is. So I am headed today to go knock out a slew of jobs to try to make at least a minimum of like 300 to 500 probably within this week or day, depending on how it's
Police reported ahead.
Yikes. Okay, but we are on the highway now to go do a lot of these jobs. So why am I bringing all this up? I've been doing TV mounting jobs for probably about the past 3 years. I've learned over the time frame of doing these jobs that if you really wanted to be independent from doing like a 9-to-5 job, these are an option of tools that you can do and learn to have as a skill set so that you don't have to do a 9-to-5 job. Since probably about 3 years ago, since I always say that little part, I've been able to learn and master a whole new set of skills that just kept me modernized with everything as well. And also be able to make myself an independent contractor. But at the same point, I was teaching, or still am teaching, a lot of people about how I use this app called HelloTech and what it does. So I've been using or had the app for about 2 years, ever since I got furloughed from a job. And I had to learn what all it entailed to install all the stuff that I once used to sell people. I used to work at Best Buy, which was the store where a lot of people will buy technology stuff, just something cool to have in their home. So they knew about it and they liked it, the idea of it, but they never knew how to set these things up, which always became the biggest dilemma and problem. So I decided at some point that I needed to figure out what could I do to get myself on that end of the spectrum so that I'll be able to make more money, because I've been asked that numerous amount of times. Hey, are you going to be the person that comes out and do any of the install stuff that I buy today? No, not at all. Not going to be that guy. And it sucks, but because you know it, it's not like you can hate it. So I've learned now. And with those little geeks and traits along the way, man, like, there's been some ups and downs. Like, there have been periods where I've definitely thought, like, man, like, it's been a great week. And then there's been periods where I'm like, man, it's getting pretty slow. But in between the two, you learn a lot about yourself and what you're willing to invest in yourself to make the differences between the two work, which I had to realize that a small investment towards me could go a long way. I ended up learning about other apps that I could use that would save me in the long run so that I didn't have to deal with issues that will go on with vehicles. Excuse me. So let's talk about the job for a moment. It's not as if this is labor intensive. No, you aren't outside scraping up concrete or putting out cement. You aren't doing any of those things. What you're doing is mostly using your mind and thoughts on how to get things done. So I've always been in homes where I've had situations like the one yesterday where it was with an elderly woman, and I'm having to figure out exactly how I'm going to get a service done. So I don't try to minimize what people's capabilities are, but I also try to understand the limitations of what I'm asking. I've been sent into jobs where I've had to mount 75-inch TVs, but only had one person that could possibly aid me in doing so. And each and every job is kind of like that, has its own basis of problems. So now it's either you have to figure out what you're going to do or how you're going to do it or where you're going to do it, or grab somebody that may be closest to you so you don't break anything in the process of it. Breaks have happened. People have had dropped TVs. People have had break-ins in their homes. A lot of these things that I do install for people, they do it out of the safety sometimes for themselves and comfort sometimes for themselves too. So both of those ends get covered. But overall, like, you will make a lot of money doing these jobs if you just stay consistent with it. I'm starting today. My first job that I'm starting off with is $100. Well, 97. So they're gonna pay that out. Then there's another job that I'm gonna do. It's 110. So now that's almost $200 that was collected in one day. And there's another job that's 75. All right, so now we're almost at $300, and then I have another job to do right after that. And so that's $400 that would have been collected in one day, which is really good on earned income. But also at the same point, you went out and earned that all in one day without having to wait for a paycheck. Like, you go do any of these jobs and figure them out and get paid for them, which is great. Or at least that's what we try to make for them. So it's just something to consider. I'm gonna talk about the differences on why I use so many different apps and how they benefit me in the long run on what I'm doing with them. So this will be the first part of what I'm talking about, just so you guys have an understanding. But I'm gonna go into
Police reported ahead.
talking about tour. Let me make it around these cops and we'll be back. All right. PKG Deluxe is here. PKG Deluxe is out, baby.